Everyone, my name is Brian, and this will be our Harvard Business Study case study review number 2 for Deloitte in their introduction of their AI platform. So just kind of a quick review of Deloitte. They're the world's largest professional services firm, founded in London in 1845. As of 2022, they had 415,000 employees in over 150 countries. They work on a multitude of business platforms, including audit, consulting, financial advisory, risk advisory, tax, and many other areas. As we go into a summary of the article, we focus on individual named Samir Bora, their National IT Director. And overall, it's his decision on how to implement a large language model to be used within the company. Around this time, they had just started to pick up steam publicly and be utilized a lot more in other businesses as well. So really the dilemma or the focus ends up being, should he utilize an external LLM? Should he use an external third-party one, but give it more safeguards for the company due to their client-sensitive data, or to create their own in-house? And they didn't have any concerns from customers voiced ahead of time, but with them looking ahead, they anticipated there might be some issues, so they ended up going with option 2. They used a third-party company, but they kind of gave it some safeguards, and they dubbed it Generative AI at Deloitte. With that creation, it took them about 2 months in order to build this program, make sure they're following Canadian AI laws, make sure all the information in-house is safe, that it can be successfully integrated without lacking any of that safety or integrity that they offer as a world-leading firm. And this architecture gave them 3 main benefits. It allowed user prompts as input and then generated text as output. It augmented prompts with the user data, providing a more suitable response for a professional services firm. And third, it enabled the organization to fine-tune responses by augmenting the models with its own data. They allowed that system to learn based on that human input. If we think back to the John Deere article, one of the companies was very big on that human in the loop technology. And this has a lot of similarities, allowing that interaction from the user as they're organically playing with it to help drive how this system learns. And in its rollout, it was very unstructured, but it worked well because of how organically it fit into the users, their willingness to adopt it and to try something new, helped them to become more successful, more productive. And a quote from Bora was, "We didn't want to push users to use Gendi in a specific way. We just wanted to let them explore and use it as it evolved." And this speaks really well to the amazing output and growth it had right out of the gate. If we look at some other industry trends, this idea of large language models and AI really has gaining a lot of steam. I personally work in healthcare. We have been toying with different options for this for quite a while. One of the big ones for us is utilizing medical scribes to help reduce the time to chart notes for those providers. So we're picking up on some of those audio cues to help prompt what that provider is going to chart based on their historical responses. We also utilize this, or are starting to utilize this, and pilot in our offices for response back to patients. Providers can give this input based on how they would respond, whether it's a good response from our augmented response technology or a bad response, and then this continues to learn that same human in the loop technology, and it will continue to grow within our systems. We work on audio prompts in call centers, having that audio voice back things that it learns, or again, like last article from last week, that John Deere's introduction of AI to ag tech with that human in the loop technology, and showing that truly it can be built to any industry. I think some popular theories in my eyes for this week is network theory. The more this platform is used, the stronger the network, the more the system can learn, the more it's learning from these different users and these different inputs. And it continues to have that positive experience or that positive feedback loop. The more people who do well with it, the more people want to use it, the more it learns. But also, I want us to think about virtualization theory as well. The way there's numerous sectors, right? Healthcare, agriculture, call centers, business, they all have this idea that AI will help, but it may not help them all in the same way. Technology doesn't help improve them all in the same way. Whether there's safeguards for regulation or security or just the inability to integrate it the way it needs to be to work seamlessly. So while it may continue to grow, it may not work for each of their sectors quite as well. And it's something that probably needs to be accounted for as they go through rollouts and training and integration of it in a broader scale. So just some basic recommendations for next steps or things that I would really want to focus on would be continue to utilize Agendi, continue to let it expand, start regionally, build it through this Canada office, and then just continue to introduce it in different regions until it's global for the company. At this point, I think it would be more helpful to have a structured rollout. Ensure those safeguards remain in place. Maybe not let it be quite as organic in the rest of the rollout, a little more structured as that end user volume grows. It may be harder to keep that data integrity safe. So I think there needs to be a little more specific training for each service line and more ongoing training as this software, this LLM, continues to grow. So I think another kind of thought-provoking question for this week would be, was Bohr's use of generative AI in relaxed rollout a safe approach? Or should he have created something in-house instead, where he had more safeguards in place? I would argue that I think the rollout was fantastic. They were able to find something that was a third party that they could tailor to them and have a very quick rollout to not lose that steam. And I think that was probably the best approach. But I think there could be a conversation to be had of, is this the safest way to keep their data safe, or should they have taken the time to make something in-house? And then here are the references for the article this week. Thank you.